Oh my god, are we live again? A minute late. Okay, Asha. Well, I tried, but, can't have everything. How are we all doing? Am I actually at 30 subs? That's pretty funny. Yeah, you were first, Trevor. Nice. Joel second, I guess. Sean third. Caitlin fourth. Rico fifth. I'm here. What up? Who's C? It just says C. I don't know who that is. Whose name starts with C? Chloe? I don't know. Can't think of anyone else. Is that really bad? Chantel? No, Chantel had her own one. I hope the audio is okay. I'm using my laptop this time, so I tried to be a little bit different. $31 subs. I am famous. I've got my 15 years service at Tuggerah. More than Joel's 1 year service at CCU. This is our last advanced lesson ever. Like, content lesson ever. Hey, don't diss Tuggerah. Should we just get into it? I've only got 3 examples. I hate that you just vomited at Tuggerah. That's the worst. Although I don't play for Tuggerah anymore because they don't have a grade team. So, yeah. Rico posted something. I can't see it. Oh, is that water? Is that someone dabbing? That's... Can you kick people from the stream? Is that a thing? 8 concurrent viewers. Is that a monkey with a hammer? I don't know what that is. Yes, that is dab, Rico. That's really cringe, but... Could you hear that? That was a train. And it's going again. This is what it's like to live near Tuggerah train station. Oh my god, shut up. Alright, I suppose we should do it. So, this is our last lesson. Radiation. Hot. What? Triggered. Anyway, this is our last lesson. We're looking at loans, and in other words, we're... Nice, gotta love. Can't even read that. I can't read your whole comment, Asha. So this is going to kind of back off what we did last time. And last time we just looked at paying off a loan. So this is what we did last time. This is the nice version of the notes. So you'll remember that it was a little bit different because we couldn't just use compound interest. So using compound interest here, because there does come a point where YouTube's not receiving smooth video. That's not nice. I hope it's smooth for everyone else. If not, then rip. But we actually had to make repayments, so we had to add a calculation. So that's why we had to do these separately. Whereas if they weren't, if we weren't paying it off, then obviously this thing's just going to keep compounding, and that's kind of like that is compound interest. That's just something increasing in value. Whereas we want to have something that does increase in value, but it also we're trying to pay it off. That's the goal. Now with this lesson, what we're doing is kind of going backwards, and we're saying, well, let's suppose I know how much I'm borrowing, that makes sense. I know my rate, I know how long it's going to take, but what is my monthly repayment? So before we were looking at using the table to find our monthly repayments, but there's a different way of doing it, and it's a much more, I guess, mathematically nice way of doing it, and it kind of makes sense. But there's a lot of working, so you can expect something like this to be a pretty good HSC question. All right, let's start with what I know. Well, I know that after 1 year, what have I got? Well, I've got 20 grand. It compounds, so 1 plus 12%, which I don't like writing it like that. I like writing it like that. It then compounds for a month. Oh no, yeah. No, over 4 years. A year compounds for a year. Thank you, happy birthday. Yep, great, hilarious. And then what happens is my monthly repayment comes out. I hate that you just said happy birthday. I couldn't concentrate after you just said that. Okay, now I've actually made a mistake here, because if this compounds every month, then this should be, so this value here is going to be 12% divided by how many months there are. So it's actually going to be 1%. So in here I'm going to chuck 0.01. Birthday cake's really hilarious, so funny. 8 viewers, happy with that. YouTube maintaining smooth streaming, not happy with that. We will continue in the hopes that this is actually working. If not, then I will never do this remotely again. Please stop saying happy birthday. And I'm going to leave it like that. So I don't want to simplify this, because I'll show you what happens. We're going to end up with something pretty nice. So after the second year, what happens is it's what I ended up with the first year, that then compounds. So you'll imagine that I had an amount starting, then there was some compound interest added to it, then I paid some off. A1 is what I was left with, and now after the second year, it's going to compound again. And also, I'm going to make a repayment. So I'm going to do these each. I don't know why there's a banana emoji there, but whatever. Okay. Now, A3 is going to be the same. Oh no, let's actually fill in A1. So I know what A1 is. A1 is all this stuff. So what I can do is I can put that in. So that's, I'm going to use big brackets because there's going to be a lot going in. So 20,000, 1 plus 0.01, I'm not going to write this power of 1, minus R. So that's all of this. Okay. And then I multiply that by 1.01 and I take away R. I'm running out of space. Okay, that's what's happened. Now, do I want to simplify that? Yeah, I'll simplify that. I've got 2 things in here times by this 1 thing. I should be moving all this red stuff, eh? Go away. Now there's an arrow stuck. Oh well. So let's distribute that. So I've got, if you look at it, 20 grand times my compound times my compound. So really that's just 20 grand 1.01 squared. Thanks, Rico, it is working. That's nice. So that's squared. Okay, so that's that times this. Wait, I forgot my minus R. I forgot my minus R. Let me just expand it. Minus R, off the top of my head, 1.01. That's still to the power of 1. And then there's this minus. Oh, I've used the brackets in the wrong spot. That's what I've done. That's what I'm looking at wrong. So it was that times that, which is here, and then that times that, which is here, and then there's a minus R sitting on the end. Oops daisy. Okay. Now what I want to do is, the whole goal of this is to figure out what my monthly repayment is. So the whole goal is to figure out what R equals. So if I want to figure out what R equals, then what I'm going to have to do is probably factorize this part. So I'll do that. So 20,000, 1.01 squared minus R. What's left? It's 1.01 plus 1, because I took the minus out. Okay, we got there. That was all to the power of 1, but I'm not going to write that. A3. I'm sure we can see where we're going with this. Is going to be A2. So the last year's amount. Then I compound it. So 0.10 for a year. 1. Just leave that 1 there. And then I make my repayment. Now I have what A2 is. It's all this stuff. So let's get going. I'm going to make a massive substitution in square brackets. 20,000. 1.01. Now squared minus R. And this is 1. I'm going to leave it like this. See why in a sec. Okay, times by 1.01. Yep, minus R. Expanding. 20,000. So it's all this times this, which is just going to make that a 3. So 1.013. Now all of this times this, which is going to make minus r 1.01. Now, because it's being, think about this, so I've got that times that, so that's going to be squared, so maybe it would have made more sense to leave the 1.01. So 1 times this, minus r. Now I'm going to factorize. I haven't seen a comment in a while, so I'm assuming that my YouTube's broken. A comment would be nice. Oh well. Minus r, huge brackets, 1.01 squared plus 1.01 plus 1. And what's, I guess, clever to note is that I can write this as 1.01 to the power of 0 and that to the power of 1. And what I've got here is a bit of a sequence happening. And I've also got, so this was a 3. I've got my own like recurrence relation, which is what it's called. So that's a 3 and that's a 3. So they're kind of lining up, which is nice. Now, what I want to do is I want to be able to generalize this forever. So what happens when this ends? What ends is when my term is paid off. When my term is paid off, that means I'm going to have nothing to repay. So everything's going to be 0. I've got to think about when my thing's going to end. Well, that's going to be after 4 years. If it's monthly, and these are my amounts after each month, then A48, which is 4 years times 12, at A48, I should have nothing left to pay. The amount that is owing should be 0. So in other words, I can set all of this with, instead of 3 being in there, I can do it with 48. So in other words, this, because what's going to happen is this is going to follow a pattern, and this is going to just have a million terms, and this is going to have a 48 on it. So I can write this as 1.01 48 minus r outside of, and this would go from, so you can see that there's a 3 there and a 2 there, so it must be down 1, so this must be 47 plus blah 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 plus 1 0. And I can keep simplifying. I know that that's got to be equal to 0. If I move this over here, it becomes a plus. And then maybe I'll swap sides because I've got no room. And I'll write them in the other order.